Hope you guys had a good summer. It's good to be back. Got a lot of work to do here in training camp, but excited to be here. It's really the start of football season. We're going to try to build off of things we've done in the spring. So I think the guys are excited. They came back in shape. Took care of some logistical meetings yesterday and ready to go today. We're going to work on in the red zone.
Joe, obviously a big part of the season is going to be evaluating Daniel. What are you going to be looking for to determine if he's the quarterback of the future?
Yeah, again, we're at day one here. I appreciate the question. Again, there's a lot that, from a continuity standpoint, getting Galladay and KT back out there, we'll see where Shep is here over the next couple of weeks. So, again, right now it's just about building continuity with the guys. We missed some reps in the spring, so really just him coming out and executing the offense is what we're looking to do, getting better each day, and that goes for the entire position group, Tyrod and Davis Webb as well.
What do you need, though, for a quarterback to prove it to you? Because obviously your actions this offseason said he kind of has to prove it to you, right? You had the option of picking up a fifth-year option on him, and you didn't. So, what does a quarterback need to prove to you guys?
We've been around Daniel for, we were on the grass for 6 weeks, in the spring. There's a lot to learn from the offensive standpoint, and the ability to execute the offense. And again, I think continuity is important, and to see him out there with some of the guys that weren't out there in the spring, I think are important. So again, it's just getting better each day. That's what training camp's about. We're going to install the offense. Daniel's still got a lot to learn from a scheme standpoint in our offense. He's done a tremendous job working to learn it, and we look forward to seeing him getting better each day.
Coach Joe, what's the identity? What do you want the identity of this football team to be?
Yeah, we've talked about this, during the draft. We talk about it now. We're looking for smart, tough, dependable people in our organization. People that make good decisions on and off the field in terms of intelligence, doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it all the time, but then have some mental toughness, some resiliency about them. Those are three qualities that we covet when we're looking, whether it's draft picks, free agents, coaching staff, players. That's the identity of what we're trying to build.
Very often the first day of training camp, you hear a lot of players talking about expectations, and we think we're a playoff team, we think we're this, we think they're that. Are you an expectations guy, or do you just, when you give your overview to start this whole thing with them, do you kind of, I know you're talking about red zone today or whatever, but, do you kind of want to set some kind of standard for them?
Yeah, I've learned a long time ago, you got to take care of today. There were, again, being in the league for 20 plus years, there's teams that people thought they were going to go all the way and didn't make the playoffs. There were people thought that they weren't going to. And what we try to focus on is getting better each day, like Joe said, focusing on the things that we can do and we control, which is going out there, having good meetings, having good practice, trying to string good days together, and that's where our focus is really going to be.
And one more, in a series of firsts for you as a head coach, is today first practice something sort of meaningful for you or very meaningful for you?
I haven't really thought about it. There's a lot of things that come across your desk when you're in this position, and you just try to do the best you can, and this is certainly one of them. I'm excited, just like I think everybody else is, to get going. Really the official start of this season, albeit, these first couple practice will probably be more similar to what you guys saw in phase 3 with no pads on and the ramp-up period. But certainly excited to be here.
Pretty much all the players that we spoke to during the earlier phases in minicamp spoke about the renewed energy with the new coaching staff. How do you carry that momentum over, or is that put in the past and this is a fresh slate?
Yeah, I just think being yourself and taking things day by day and working as hard as you can with a good positive attitude and being able to deal with things when they come your way. It's fine, and I appreciate the energy and all those type of things, but you really find out what kind of team you are is when you start fighting through adversity and a loss or a bad thing happens. But we're going to try to be as consistent as we can as a leadership group, scouting department, coaching staff, organizations. I think consistency is key, and have high energy, be positive, but also be real about where we're at and what we need to fix.
Joe, John Mara has, he's acknowledged.
Your limited time around Saquon. How excited are you to see him get going?
Yeah, I thought he had a really good spring, and I think he came in shape, did a really good job on a conditioning test. So he's a good player for us. He was a good player in spring for us, and it's good to work with him.
Joe, John Mara has openly acknowledged that this is not going to be an overnight rebuild. So now that you've been here and had your hands on this team for a little bit, what is your feeling on where things are at and how far you guys have to go and what you've accomplished so far?
I mean, that's a good question. Again, I would say revamped roster. Just looking at some of the players that we've brought in, and some of the guys we had to move on from for various reasons. Again, we haven't been in pads yet. We were in pads on Monday. Is that right? We get into pads on Monday. So, again, from a O-line, D-line standpoint, seeing guys actually blocking with pads on. I mean, there's a lot of things that we still need to evaluate that, you can get a feel for in the spring. But again, to Dave's point, how are we going to respond to adversity? How are we going to respond to success? Every year the team is different, and they have a different identity and different attitude. And, those are all things that we look forward to, evaluating and find out what we're going to be about, over the next month.
You got a bunch of players. You had a bunch of players in the spring in red jerseys, and they did not make it to the pup list, which is good news, obviously. But are any of them going to be limited?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd say that our training staff, our medical staff, our sports science, our strength staff did a really good job in the spring of mapping out what we kind of needed to do to try to get to this point, which was, we knew the 3 guys that are on PUP right now were going to be pretty much on PUP. And really everybody else that was in those red jerseys, I mean, there was a plan in place, I'd say a very detailed plan. And those guys did a great job. Everybody should be ready to go. Z's had that little ding there, getting ready to work out to come back. So he'll be down a little bit. But everybody else that were in red jerseys will be able to participate and practice, and we'll keep an eye on them as we go. But credit to those people in the organization for their plan and for getting these guys ready to go, which is where we wanted to be today.
Right. How do you balance with Daniel teaching him the offense, instructing him, coaching him, and evaluating him? Do they go hand in hand? Do you take one hat
I mean,
off and do the other?
it's really with every player. You do that, no matter who it is, training camp wise. You teach, you go out there, they have to perform, and then you evaluate, and then you teach and correct, and then they go perform, and then you evaluate. I'd say everything will be evaluated for how we practice to, not just Daniel, with everybody. But I know it's the quarterback, and that's an important position. But that's what we'll do. We'll teach them, let them go out there and play. There's mistakes in every practice. There's mistakes in every game, and you keep a cool, calm head. You correct them, and you let them go out there and do it again.
Since you both got last year about Kadarius Toney, and you guys will get him on the field today. There's a lot of talk last year about his maturity and off-field stuff and all of that. What are you hoping to see from him both on the field and off the field?
Similar to what I just talked about with Daniel. Come in, get the plays, know what to do, go out there and execute them, fix them. KT's been great. I wasn't here last year or anything like that. He's done the rehab he's needed to do. He's been working hard in the meeting rooms. Again, the plan and we're not talking about injuries from what we did in the spring, but the plan was set in place. And he's out here without a red jersey, ready to practice.
How do you handle him this summer, though, with that knee and rehabbing and the injuries? He's obviously had a string of injuries here.
Yeah, I think you can let him go out there and practice, and then if we need to make modifications based on the training staff, but he's good to go.
Since you both got here, you talked about being in lockstep, the idea of the previous relationship being here, and also obviously you guys being here together today on the first day projects an image that you guys are working together. I'm just curious, do you have to put a plan in place now that training camp starts about how you guys are going to handle day to day between the two of you, between your leadership group of the guys that are involved, or does it just kind of happen organically? Because I know, Joe, I saw you in the spring. You're out here a lot. It's not like you're sitting in an ivory tower watching.
I would say it's organically. I mean, we talk. We're in constant communication throughout the building. This morning we've had several conversations already just about plethora of things. So yeah, it's easy, it's important. You have to communicate, whether it's him and I communicating, then down to his coaching staff or the personnel staff, whichever it may be. But yeah, the communication has been good so far, and again, that's a positive for us so far, and we'll continue to do that.
Is that important for you? I mean, like I said, you were very visible in the spring on the field. Players are seeing you out there. That it's not go see Joe upstairs. Are you conscious of that? That the players are aware that you're there, you're involved, and not just kind of pushing papers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're always evaluating. So being around the players, we'll have a walkthrough tonight. I'll be out there too. Just always being around the players, interacting with them, get to know them on a personal level. Let them know I care about them. Professionally, personally. I think that's important. It's an important part of the culture. It's not transactional. You want to get to know these guys as human beings. Know about their families, what they did all summer. So, I think that's important.
Brian, we also,
Go ahead.
we also, what you did obviously with Josh and the amount of time he carried the ball in Buffalo. With Daniel having, had some injuries, obviously in his career so far, how will you approach him and the idea that he can create with his legs, but obviously it puts him in some jeopardy if and when he does?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you have an athletic quarterback that can move and make plays, whether it's loose plays or design plays, you want to try to take advantage of it because it evens up the playing field with the defense. And you're constantly coaching and teaching, when to slide and when to get down and when to do it. I think it's definitely an advantage when you have a quarterback that can move and do those type of things. So I'd say, we'll implement some things that utilize his skill set, and then we'll coach him up and make sure that he's doing the best he can do to protect himself. But he's going to have to do that as well.
Spoke of the draft, there's been some additions and subtractions in the front office, but director of college scouting isn't filled. Is that a position you plan to fill, or are you just going to go without it, or how do you work that?
Yeah, we interviewed probably 3 or 4 candidates for that, and we're just going to move forward without one for this season. So, it's a good question.
Will you primarily handle that? Well,
Dennis Hickey will fill that role primarily for this year, and then we'll evaluate it after the year. But between him, Tim, Brandon Brown, they'll kind of head up the personnel department. Chris Rossetti will be doing the pro department. All those guys, outstanding additions, the new guys.
You two guys have sat around for the last 6 months putting together a staff and a team, and it is what it is today. Is there a board in your room where you two guys look at the team and go, we still got to get better here, we're satisfied here, and is there something you can share about that?
Well, there is a board. It's a magnetic board. He has one in his room, and I have one in my room. And Chris Rossetti, who we just talked about, the pro to person, he's constantly updating it. We're always going to try to improve the roster in any way we can, and that just goes back to your question with the relationship with the two of us being in constant communication. We have workouts. We'll have workouts today. We had workouts 2 days ago. Anything we can do to try to improve it. And you're always talking about, you do this maybe once a week during training camp, somewhere around there, of an evaluation of what we've done up to this point, whether it's scheduling, whether it's the players, what we could do better, just to try to improve your organization as a whole.
Joe, you brought in 4 guys yesterday, talking about upgrading the roster. In particular, Andrew Adams and Nick Williams. I mean, what did you like about those guys? What role might they play for you?
Yeah, we're constantly looking to upgrade the roster and communication with agents, and some of these players we've been trying to get in for a certain amount of time, and for various reasons weren't able to. So again, to add another veteran safety that's an outstanding kid. He's smart, tough. He's got he's played ball in the league, and the people that were here before us that have interacted with him spoke very highly of him. So we're happy to add him. And then Nick Williams was in Miami actually with me previous in his career, another guy that's a veteran player that still has gas in the tank and also is a very good culture fit. So we were excited to add those 2 guys, and again we've been in constant contact with their agents along with many other players, and we'll continue to do that. And sometimes when the circumstances are right, that the deals can come together.
Joe, did you?
This is for both
Giant
guys.
fans, as you try and right the ship here?
Are there certain positions to where you don't want to be too young and you kind of need veteran leadership at certain positions more so than others?
Yeah, I think we talk all the time about you'd like to have leadership in each room if you can. It doesn't always work out that way, but if you can add leadership to each room, you'll look to do that. But it's not a must. But there are some players, maybe it's the tight end room or whatever it may be. You look and say, do we have enough leadership in there? Do we need to add somebody to maybe show these guys the way? Or those are conversations we're having on a daily basis, and we'll continue to evaluate those positions. And like Dave was just saying, we'll have a weekly meeting where the coaches and the personnel will get together, and we'll just go through the roster, player 1 to to 91, and talk about each guy, where they are, how they're learning, how their health is, and their contribution. And then if there's somebody we need to move on from or we're interested in, we'll have another workout and see if we can get better at certain positions.
Joe, during the spring, when you guys dialed back so many rehabbing or injured players, is that more of a coaching medical decision, or are you involved with that as well?
Yeah, we're in constant communication on that stuff as well, the medical. And to Dave's point, the medical staff, since we got here, they had a great plan, the strength staff as well, mapping out not only the spring but to get us to this point. And there's a calculated plan to get us through August to week 1, so we're fresh. So that's the three of us basically constantly communicating on that, and we've tweaked it a lot. Dave's and his staff did a good job. And again, the main thing is getting the guys healthy for September 11th when we play Tennessee.
You guys, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was you kind of started answering my follow-up was, do you intend to be cautious and try to strike a delicate balance to get to week 1, or would you rather hit the ground running now and see these guys compete?
Yeah, we need to practice. We need to compete. And look, you can't buy insurance on all these injuries. Like, some of them are flukes. Some of them, we do the best we can. I think those meetings, Pat, that we had in the spring in terms of what we want to do with each player and how we want to go about it, and then the sports science coming in with the practice schedule. And coach, you always want to have as many reps as you can get, so you can get as many different looks and the players can get as many different opportunities to go out there and show what they can do. But there's always give and take, and really leading up right here in this ramp period, there was a lot of give and take just doing these schedules in terms of the amount of reps, the amount of rest time, recovery in between meetings, what we can do in the building to help the players recover, whether we get more massage chairs, or there's just so many different conversations that come into place, and everything we do should be for the players. We're servants for the players to try to help them out in any way we can, whether it's from PR, coaching, scouting. We're trying to help our guys be the best versions of themselves and then let them go out there and be themselves. So relative to what we try to do in the spring, there were red jerseys and it was all those things, but again, credit to Ronnie and his staff and to Fitz and his staff and the strength staff, and those guys had a really good plan, and we tweaked it as we went. We pulled back on some things and we let other guys get going, but our whole goal was to get to today with as few red jerseys so we can hit the ground running.
Joe, you've had 7 months to revamp this roster. What can fans reasonably expect from this team this year?
Yeah, again, I don't want to get into the predictions, but to Dave's point earlier, that we're going to come out, this week, we want guys to run to the ball, play hard, not beat ourselves, take care of the football, be fundamentally sound. If they can do that, the rest will take care of itself. Again, we've got a lot of evaluating to do. We haven't been in pads. Again, the continuity part, some guys still learning the defense. Daniel hasn't thrown to some of these receivers. We just signed 4 new players. So there's a lot of moving parts right now. So that's what training camp's about. We may run some plays that we throw out and we don't ever run them. That's what this time's for, to test things, see how they work. So again, just the biggest thing is, not beat ourselves, play hard, smart, tough, dependable, what we talked about. That's, other than that, the results will take care of itself if we can do that.
How would you answer that question? Just that expectations and message to the fans about, there might be some bumps in the road here.
And there always is in an NFL season, right? Whether you go 15-2 or, it's a results business. We understand that, but it's our job to make it a process for our team and for our organization. And, we're just taking steps. And the next day we want to take a bigger step. I don't look too far ahead. I've already told you that before. We got red zone practice today, and tomorrow we got 3rd and 2 to 5, and after that I'm not even sure, because I'm just focused on this. And that's what the players need to be focused on too, is their individual improvement and collectively building a team together. And it just doesn't happen. You have to go through some ups and downs, and you work as hard as you can, be a good pro, do things right, and give everything you got each week. You know, that's what it takes in this league.
How is Jeff's rehab, and do you expect? Are you counting on him to be ready for September 11th, or is he going to be a second half of the season?
I'd say
bump
his
guy?
rehab is going well, and we're day to day. Good question.
What are the expectations with Nick Gates? That was a serious injury. I mean, are you expecting him to come back this season? Is it sort of like, we'll see what happens as the season goes along? What's the approach with him?
Yeah. I'll say this, and then let Joe start to interrupt you, Joe, is this guy has been rehabbing unbelievable, and he's made a lot of strides. Where he's at and when he's ready, Jordan, I couldn't answer that right now. I just think that his mindset and what he's done up to this point has really been remarkable.
It's pretty safe to say that the season with him.
We'll see.
With Saquon,
You want to answer that?
No, I would just say, like, when I got here, I was just worried about his quality of life, and the fact that he's where he is and may be able to play in the preseason is amazing. And he's been, credit to the kid, he's been working his butt off. So yeah,
I mean, it's not a guarantee. That's
Yeah.
I mean, this kid is he's been working unbelievable, but
yeah.
I mean,
When you say it's not a guarantee, I mean,
it's not a guarantee like it's pushed back so far. Like it could be before you think. It could be before any of us think. I mean, I can't.
We weren't sure it was a guarantee. He's
Yeah.
going to make it back.
Yeah. No, it's been unbelievable. He's been remarkable what he's done.
Yeah.
sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, you're fine.
For either of you, did you find it meaningful, or did you go back and look at Saquon maybe in his rookie year, the way he was used, and maybe even back to his Penn State days when, he did a whole lot more than, frankly, what he sometimes was asked to do in this offense?
Yeah, we came from Buffalo, and Terry Pagula's a Penn State grad, and has donated a lot of money there, so we were well aware of Saquon Barkley even before he came out. But yeah, I mean, he was super talented. He went number 2 in the draft, and he's a rare talent. And we were aware of him his rookie year when he came out. We played him in was that 19? I think we played here. And he's a guy you had to game plan against. You had to, you were worried about him as a defensive coordinator. So again, he's had a really good spring. He's been a joy to be around. And I look forward to seeing what he does this camp and how he'll be able to contribute for us this year.
Joe, I know you guys are obviously, like Brian said, you micromanage the day, the way you're at, it's day to day. When you sat down and you put together your year one plan as far as what you needed to accomplish this year, how important, and have you found yourself challenged at all, the idea of sticking to the plan and reminding yourself that it's very easy to veer off and maybe do something that you said you wouldn't do this year based on philosophy, how you projected? Is that just the process through the year, and it's just important to remember?
We're halfway. I mean, we're at the season now. We're at training camp, so leading up to this point, again, constant communication with him and where we are and what our plan is moving forward. Again, we'll see how it works out, but a lot of the plan has been executed to where we are now to see us through next off season as well.
I guess I meant more in terms of you laid out things that you would do and you would not do.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't compromise. Salary cap for next year, that kind of thing. As the general manager, do you find yourself in that position at times where you almost anticipate, all right, I'm going to be challenged. We may have a move that we have to go against the grain of what I wanted to establish here, and then we have to decide if that fits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few of those.
Bad hands.
Yeah. You weigh the pros and cons. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to weighing the pros and cons. Doesn't make sense. What does it look like short term? What does it look like in 2023? What's it look like in 2024? And we approach most of our decisions with that mindset.
For both of you, you guys were in Buffalo, and it was at some level, and when you guys left, it was at a almost as high a level as you can get. Do you have to constantly communicate to each other that we're back there again? You know what I mean? We're back at square one again. You guys built this thing up, and part of the reason why you're both here is because of that. And now it's almost like, okay, we ran that race. Now we're way back at the starting gate again.
I think we're in pretty good shape with that. I think we understand where we're at. Are there times where he might say, hey, we're year one, or vice versa? I think, Paul, a lot of times it happens with myself and the offensive staff, particularly the guys that came from Buffalo, is, there are times where I'm going through my mind and doing things and motioning and shifting and doing all these different things, and I told them they better remind me that we're in year 1 of this and not year 5 of this in terms of designing plays and tempos and different things like that. We're just kind of starting to crawl here, making progress, but we got a long way to go.
Joe, so much of your work like this offseason was getting the cap in order. Like, where are you guys with that? Do you think you're going to do more restructures through the season? Are you comfortable doing that? Just how do you proceed from this point?
Yeah, we're tied up against it with, you know, you add in replacement costs throughout the season as injuries occur. So, you know, that is a possibility down the road, depending on, you know, what injuries we have and who the players are. And again, the roster's never final. I mean, we have, you know, the entire preseason, you know, 1,300 some players will be cut, you know, this month. We have, you know, possible trades. You know, we're 5th in the claim order. So there's some roster maneuvering we can do. And again, we'll continue to upgrade the roster. But, you know, the reality is, you know, we are just under $5 million in cap space, and we have to operate under the same rules as everybody else. So, you know, that is a potential option. I know I said it early on, that was the last resort. And, you know, it's not something I want to major in, but it's something we may have to do if we need to.
2 more. Or no more.
Is it going to be odd at all to have fans at practice today?
One more time?
Is it going to be odd at all to have fans at practice? It's been a while since 2019.
No, it's going to be great. I think you know, we have a great fan base. I think the setup is really awesome, and I think it brings juice to the players. You know, when you're out there and you've been going in spring all the time, and you got some however many thousands of people out here to support you. We're very thankful and grateful for that, and I know the guys are excited about it. Brings some life and juice to practice, which is always good.
Yeah, and I'll say I can't wait. I mean, it's been a couple years since we've had the fans out there, and Brian and I are very thankful for the reception we've gotten from, you know, the fans since we've been here, whether it was, you know, some of the Rangers games in the off season or throughout the summer. Just you know, the excitement from the Giants fan base and the love they've shown us. It's been great, and can't wait for them to be out there and get to see us practice again.
One more. Last one.
Is Kayvon full go?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's full.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody's pretty much full go, besides the guys that are PUP or Z's. You know, so we'll, again, like I said before, we'll manage who we need to manage, but there's no red jerseys. We're ready to go.